Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and thank you very much, Eric, for welcoming us in this, your colleague, in this wonderful place, and also thank you very much for this organization. We spent 2 days. Today is very interesting days. We have visited, discussing with people, and now we would like to present material research organization in Aquitaine. Why in Aquitaine? And after that, we will try to show you what is our strategy and internalization of research, education, and training. So as Eric said, Bordeaux is located, in the south of France. Is well known by his wine, but not only by his wine, due to the countryside. We are very close to the mountains, in Pyrenees Mountain for skiing. It's not so far from Bordeaux city, around 2 hours. Close to the ocean, we have very nice beach, warmed by the Gulf Stream, as you know, and also wonderful, liquid nanomaterials. As you know, liquid nanomaterial, wine is the first of, for showing, nano suspension, colloidal suspension. It was certainly one of the more important producer of nanomaterials liquid in Europe and maybe in the world. But you know that we have also very nice coast with sand hill. This one is the highest in Europe, around more than 100 meters. Just also has a very beautiful and clean city. Just for, encouraging you to visit us, on the future. And not only Bordeaux is known by its wines, but also by the high technology. Myself, I am working in the Institute of Condensed Matter Chemistry of Bordeaux. I created this institute in the 1995. It's one of the biggest institutes in France, and my successor is Dr. Claude, who is well known in the field of electrochemical storage, especially in lithium-ion batteries. And now I would like to show you the presentation we will do in a few minutes. Personally, I will speak only on strategy and organization of material research in Aquitaine. After that, we will address internalization of research, education, and training through different action. The European Multifunctional Materials Institute and the Bernhard Zeimetz will speak about this institute. And the Erasmus Mundus FEM Master, I will say a few words regarding this FEM Master, devoted to third countries mainly, and we will end this presentation with Professor Laurent speaking about the Doctoral International Schools in Functional Materials, in which you are deeply involved now in Waterloo. So, before speaking about the organization of research in Aquitaine, I would like to show what is our strategy. Our strategy is based on 3 actions: research, education, training, collaboration with industrial company, with the notion of integration. Integration, what does it mean? It's not so easy sometimes to understand. Integration for going to the formation of local or international localized research team, local level Aquitaine region, international European level, and beyond. And after that, for going to innovation through multidisciplinary projects. How are we organized regarding research? Yes, just you can discover the strategy we have implemented in Aquitaine and at the European scale by the following scheme. We start with proposals which are defined with or without industry companies, and for example, PhD projects. And after that, having defined the subject, we have also to define the partners, the competencies, and we have to choose the partners. These partners can be taken locally or in Europe. And after that, if we want to form a delocalized team, it's absolutely necessary to create links between partners. We have chosen the competencies. Now how to create strong links between partners. And we can create these links between partners for forming delocalized team by, for example, sharing medium-scale facilities and databases. And Bernhard will have the opportunity in a few minutes to speak about what we do in the framework of European Multifunctional Materials Institute is also use common electronic commission tools as, of course, video conferencing, call conference, intranet, and so on, sharing human resources by co-supervision of PhD students. Up to now, we have in EMMI, in European Multifunctional Materials Institute, around 20 PhDs which are in co-supervision between two institutions from two countries, as much as possible involving industry partner. Also, sharing of postdocs, and also to foster the mobility of permanent researchers between both sides, because, as you know, PhD are preparing their work between two institutions from two countries. So it is a strategy we have implemented, but for feeding the delocalized team, which is formed, we recruit students as a master degrees coming from European Union or from third countries through the Erasmus Mundus program. It is a strategy which is implemented in European Multifunctional Materials Institute and also at the local level in the Bordeaux University. Now, what are the position of material science in our university? Material science is one of the 5 poles of excellence in Bordeaux, optics and laser. Laser because we have for many years now the famous laser megajoule. And after that, we have information in communication technology, environment science, neurosciences, and of course, material science. And since 2006, we have organized the research, the activity of research in Aquitaine through 2 structures, a basic multidisciplinary structure, scientific research cluster, and also another organization devoted mainly to industry research cooperation activities. That is called Carnot. Carnot is a far imitation of Fraunhofer Institute in Germany, but I will say a few words in a few minutes. Now, 2 organizations. AMA is the Advanced Materials in Aquitaine, Basic Scientific Research Cluster, and MIP Carnot, more devoted to the gestion, to the activities between academic partners and industry partner. So, but you know, of course, never research is disconnected from training and education. And of course, around these 2 organizations, I will say a few words regarding how they function. And we have platforms as characterization, we have platform regarding composites, and so on. We have platform for high-speed machining, and of course, all these structures are strongly connected. Approximately, we are more than 8,800 researchers, including permanent people, including PhDs, postdocs, engineers, and for working in 22 laboratories, chemistry, physics, mechanics, biology, applied mathematics, because one of the purposes of this organization is to organize the research under project, a multidisciplinary project. And for doing that, I will show you some examples. Now, what is this? A few words regarding the basic research cluster. This cluster is, you know, the founding institution are 3 universities. The CNRS is a famous national scientific research center in France, and the 3 engineering schools. That it is founding members. And also they support us financially. That is extremely important. What is AMA? AMA is a consortium, as I said, of 20 laboratories. We have a core of 13 laboratories from the core, and we have 9 laboratories which are satellite. And of course, they are more or less involved depending on the subjects themselves. We have more undergraduate researchers, and multidisciplinary project including materials chemistry. Materials chemistry involve inorganic, organic, polymer materials, hybrid chemistry, solid-state physics, solid-state ionics, mechanical engineering, biology, and theory and modeling. Now, what are the missions? We have really 4 missions in AMA to foster intentional attractiveness. The problem is to try to attract to our laboratory the best in the world, grant for consolidated senior chairs, visiting foreigners, as well as postdoctoral and PhD position, to stimulate existing research activities in favor of the emergence of new research teams, enhancing the multidisciplinary culture of project. It was not, true some years ago in our, in our university. And the plan was to assemble people from different disciplines working on the same project. And to pool, also to initiate, of course, support collaborative scientific projects at the regional, national, and international levels, and to pool scientific and technical equipment and technological platforms, priority given to shared equipment. So that it is the main mission of AMA. Now, we are 8 collaborative projects involving 200, almost 280 researchers, permanent researchers, and in the way since this 2008. We have started this organization in 2006, and after that we have, of course, established the project, and now they are, they started really at the beginning of 2008, and each project is under the responsibility of a project leader. AMA is just, brings an additional financial support. It's not enough for achieving all the project. It's necessary to use other sources of money, and to start, we invested 4 million euros in the system, covering 50 grants for postdoc position, 10 grants for PhD position, as much as possible people coming from outside Europe, outside France, for foreigners, 16 months for visiting scientist position. Regarding now this project, it is not exhaustive list. We have a project in microfluidics. HR means human resources. We have 9 laboratories working together, a well-defined topic, and with 25 permanent researchers. A second one is flexible organic and hybrid organic inorganic solar cells. We have 7 laboratories involving physicists, chemists, people modeling, people making theory, and so on, and composite materials, also 30 permanent researchers, 6 laboratories. I will show you some example in each case. Crystal growth natural facility. Crystal growth is very important, activity, and this in Europe, this activity is decreasing. And now we have built a national center in collaboration with Japan, NIMS, and after that we have a permanent exchange on both sides between Japanese and French for growing crystal. Optical data storage materials, we have 6 laboratories and 45 permanent researchers. Laser interaction, new optical functionality. Metamaterials is a new topic, and we have all the skills for, I think, study these metamaterials for their use in the visible. And we have also not only local project, but also a European project, involving many laboratories, in UK, in France, in Germany, in Spain, and so on. So, and now to end this list is multifunctional biomaterials and 3D assembly for tissue engineering. This, of course, now this structure has some boards, a steering committee. The steering committee consists of people financing the system. We have executive committee, the scientific advisory board. I am the chair of this board, and of course the mission of each board are, described at the lower part of this transparency. And we are building a visiting committee for evaluating the activity of this cluster AMA, and also evaluating the project. And after that, we decide to stop or to continue the project depending on the results got up to now. Now, what is Carnot Institute? As I said at the beginning, Carnot Institute is devoted to the academic industry partnership. And also, we have the founding institution is university, CNRS, 3 engineering school, and another one is École des Arts et Métiers in France. And this Carnot Institute is as a label of the government, French government. This Carnot Institute has been created for 3 years now. And regarding the Carnot Institute in Bordeaux, which is called Materials and Systems Institute of Bordeaux, around 500 researchers, engineers, PhD, postdocs, over 9 laboratories, 7 specific technology transfer laboratories, and elaboration calculation technology platform. And these technology transfer laboratories are between the academic laboratories and also the incubators. Of course, we have a large relationship with, at the international level with Erasmus Valley. Erasmus Valley is a cluster which is very important in Aquitaine and Midi-Pyrénées region because it is devoted mainly to aeronautics. Aeronautics, I mean, we have in Bordeaux region, Aquitaine, more activity in military activities, and in the Midi-Pyrénées, in Toulouse, activities are more devoted to civil application as Airbus industry. And both, of course, can learn from each other because many technologies have been transferred from the civil from the military activities to the civil activities. I think that with Airbus 280, I think, its existence is due to the progress made in the activity at the military scale. So just thought we could develop this aspect regarding electronics, regarding composite materials, for example. So what are the panel of competencies in Aquitaine in this institute? Materials and mechanics. I can detail of course, all the domains: electronics, engineering, computer science, physical chemistry, and so on. Now, just a look regarding the objectives. Objective is to manage efficient and professional industry research partnership activities. And of course, to fulfill technology needs, especially expressed by industry, both at local and international level. And finally, to develop a win-win a long-term international collaboration strategy with strong technology growth regions. So just a look regarding 3 examples, okay? NACOMAT, excuse me, is a project which group industry companies, which group academic companies in the field of nanocomposites materials at the industrial scale. And of course, we have some examples. We have for aircraft engine, there's a ceramic metal matrix. Ceramic, for example, is a composite silicon carbide matrix, silicon carbide fibers for aircraft engines. It is the case of, for example, the Airbus aircraft. You have carbon fiber reinforced composite. You have the brakes. The brakes, all many aircrafts now are carbon brakes, and these brakes are made for mainly in France regarding the fabrication, and also, of course, we are also involved deeply on rockets, and for example, Arianespace, we are making in Aquitaine the motor engine of these rockets. So now just another example on nanomaterials, but nanomaterials, regarding the relationships with industry. And we have a task force of around 250 people from 8 laboratories regarding nanostructured materials, nano-reinforced materials, nanocomposites, of course, bio-implied nanomaterial systems. And we have 2 small structure devoted to technological platform designed for nanomaterial processing under hygiene and safety conditions regarding energy, transport, and so on. Existence of nanomaterial commercial offer nearby Bordeaux University, especially the Arkema Society, which is one of the producers in Europe of carbon fiber, or carbon nanotubes, excuse me. And also we have small, startups, for example, producing core shell materials for different applications in optics, in catalysis, and so on. A last example is organic electronics. We have a big group of organic electronics now in Bordeaux, grouping around, I don't know, as I mentioned, 6 laboratories, 65 researchers, and we are developing, of course, not only LEDs, OLEDs, electronic papers, photovoltaics, and so on. So, and now we have recruited recently one of our colleagues, Etourneau, who has a certain experience in this research field. And you see, all this topic, we could have, I think, in the future, maybe interaction with it is doing in Waterloo. So, but it is a final example I would like to show you. Just some data regarding the budget. We have an annual budget of 21 million euros per year expenditure, and that including salary and operating budget. 11.5 million euros revenue from partnership, of which 3.5 million euros income directly from industry. Less and less industry is paying cash research without using a partnership. Okay, so, and we have, for many years, we have a decrease of the direct financement of research with industry. Okay, so we have 1 million euro subsidies from Natural Research Agency. In France, we have a new system regarding the management of research. It is similar to NSF, is INA, is Natural Research Agency, but I will say a few words if you ask me questions. And just here is a distribution of the budget over different areas, telecommunication, chemistry, energy, transport, and so on. We can see the main part is devoted to transport, but transport is more structural material, composite materials, and also metal alloys. So just also there is a very strong governance regarding this MIP Carnot, because we have a steering committee, meeting committee, industry research committee, and so on. So just I would like to stop this presentation regarding Aquitaine research, and now, before leaving the floor to my colleague Bernhard Zeimetz and Laurent, Bernhard will speak about European programs and European Multifunctional Materials Institute. And after that, I will come back for speaking about, in 5–10 minutes, regarding what is a FEM Masters. This master is running, and I will show you what are the objectives and what are the results up to now. And finally, Laurent will speak about the International Doctoral School in Functional Materials, IDS-FunMat. Just for introducing Bernhard now, we have succeeded in 5 years ago, in the European Multifunctional Materials, FAME is a network of excellence. Is a network is a new instrument launched in the 6th framework program, European program, just for defragmenting the research in Europe. And after that, I was a coordinator of this network, and this network has been transformed into EMMI, and now Bernhard will speak about EMMI. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning. I'm Bernhard Zeimetz. I work in Bordeaux for the Institute of Condensed Matter Chemistry that Jean has already introduced. But I also share my time between the ICMCB and the local headquarters of the CNRS, the French research organizations. And in EMMI, I'm the communication manager, so I look after the website, newsletter, brochures, and this sort of things. So I will present two things, actually. First, I'll give you a quick overview over all the European research funding schemes, because that will make clearer how our doctoral school and the master's program fit into these European programs. And the second part then will be a quick overview over the European Multifunctional Materials Institute. So here is a introduction into the European Commission. You have the president and 26 commissioners from the 27 member states. And then there are also 40 directorate generals. And several of them offer funding for research. So the most famous, well-known one is, of course, the 7th Framework Program, which is run by the Directorate for Research. But there are also several others. Our Erasmus Mundus doctoral school and master course, they're financed and run by this Directorate for Education. And there's a big program also for regional policy that's very à la vogue at the moment in Europe to provide funding for the regional developments. And the environmental DG also has a program which is called Life Plus. And in addition, there are quite a few programs that are not controlled or run by the European Commission directly. So I will show you a list of those a bit later. And yeah, if you think it looks complicated, it's complicated, yeah. Because Europe is not a country, it's a group of countries and everybody has their own interests. So it's difficult. So as I said, our doctoral school is up here in Erasmus Mundus, but the big program is the 7th Framework Program, so I will tell you a bit more about that. This 7th Framework Program is divided into 4 so-called specific programs: people, ideas, cooperation, and capacities. Under people, we have the Marie Curie networks. They are quite well known. You can either work for a network or you can get an individual fellowships. And under ideas is a new program for individual researchers, which is devoted to basic research, blue sky research, I think is the English expression for that. And there, the European Research Council now is the funding agency. The classical academic research is this section here, European Research Networks, which is a part of the cooperation program. And there are also 2 new programs here which are devoted mainly to industry research. So these 2 parts, they are run by industry. And the last one is devoted to infrastructure support for large instruments such as synchrotrons or big microscopes and things like that. Yeah, so I just go back. What I wanted to stress here is that our doctoral school, because it's run by the educational DG, for them the important point of the doctoral school is really the quality of the teaching and the mobility. The research, of course, is also important. You want to do good research, but for them the main keywords are teaching excellence and mobility. Yeah? So I just go ahead with this part here. As I said, this is the classical tool for academic groups and networks to do research. And here we have, this is divided in 2 ways. One is along these 10 themes. So for material science, it's mostly this nanoscience, nanotechnologies, materials, and new production technologies. But of course, also under energy, you have programs for batteries, for example, and also under environment and IT, of course, as well. And then there are also different so-called funding schemes that are the types of different projects. The large-scale projects, they used to be called integrated projects. They are very big projects, mostly run by industry companies with very big budgets. Then for more academically oriented projects, we have the small and medium-scale projects. Budgets can be between 1 and 3, exceptionally also up to 4 million euros. Then there's a new program for small and medium-sized enterprises. The European Commission wants to induce them to get more into research. And there are 2 other programs for coordination and support actions and for networking this is partly a replacement of the old cost program. So then I'll show you quickly these other schemes which are not directly controlled by the European Commission. The cost is the grandmother of the European funding schemes. It exists for a very long time. And it finances only networking, so it doesn't give you money to do research, but to organize meetings and conferences and all of it. But it's a very attractive program to initiate networks, which then can go on to apply for funding from the other programs. Then there's a program for product development, Eureka and Eurostars. I already mentioned these Interreg programs. They have funded funding agencies which are called operational programs. And these association programs, Article 169, they are also independent. They're started by the European Commission, but then they become independent funding agencies for certain themes. And if you do science for peace and security, you can also get funding from NATO. And of course, there are lots of bilateral or trilateral programs. And in most of these networks, Canadian groups can also participate, but normally you don't get money. Yeah? Of course, the European Commission wants to fund European researchers. And normally that's then participation at own cost. There are a few exceptions, and especially for individual researchers, there are quite a few possibilities to work in Europe as a scientist. There's actually a dedicated website, which is very good. It's eracan.ca. And so here's a short list of these funding schemes. There are these Marie Curie fellowships. There is a program also for permanent researchers, for exchanging researchers. Then I've mentioned this COST program. There you can be an invited expert and spend some time in a European laboratory, or at a conference you can give invited talks. And of course our Erasmus Mundus fellowships, which will be presented by Jean and Laurent. Then in Canada, the Research Council and the department, government departments, they give grants for going overseas, and there are graduate scholarships also. In France, Jean already mentioned the National Research Agency, ANR. They have different calls, which are called Blanc International, and sometimes they include joint calls with the National Science and Engineering Research Council here in Canada. And also the CNRS has some joint projects with the Canadian Research Council. And recently we discovered this one here, French-Canadian Research Fund, which also gives grants especially for mobility. So we'll try to use that to co-finance our Erasmus Mundus students. Okay, that was the first part. And now I'll give you a quick overview over our institute, EMMI. Where basically Jean has already covered this part, how it was formed. So the idea was of the European Commission to not just have research projects which exist for 4 years or something like that and then disbanded, but to have something called durable integration of laboratories and the research efforts in European countries. And in order to achieve that, these networks of excellence, they were asked to form durable integration structures. That's the official word. In the case of FAME, that was then EMMI, which in a legal sense is a Belgian non-profit organization. And the official language from Brussels is that it's a virtual institute because it hasn't got its own laboratories, etc. And it depends on the contributions of its members, but I prefer to call it a platform to create projects and to exchange information, and also to organize teaching. So I'll give you an overview over the activities in a moment, but first here is a list of the members. We had in FAME started with 15 partners, project partners, and 12 of them became full members. One has left, unfortunately, recently. 3, for some obscure political reasons, decided to become academic partners, so they signed a cooperation agreement. And but in practice, that doesn't make a big difference, except that they don't have a vote in this governing board. So they're actually worse off than the full members. And then we have 5 large industry groups from Europe which are adherent members. And they work closely with us to create new projects and other activities. Yeah, the internal structure is pretty standard. You have the governing board with these 11 seats, 11 members. Then you have an executive board, and Jean is the executive director. And you have an advisory board, which we call industry support group, and that's these 5 industry partners. And there, with the red asterisk, I marked the EMMI partners, which are also members in our doctoral school, IDS-FunMat. So that explains why I show you this, that really EMMI was at the origin of the doctoral school. And there's a strong overlap, of course, between EMMI's activities and those of the school. So here's just the definition of the research field that we cover: functional ceramics and hybrid inorganic organic materials. And our mission statement is EMMI initiates and supports international collaborative projects and exchange of information, data, and know-how. The next slide shows the activities a bit more in detail. So the activities are shown here. So we have this FAME master program. Then we have a partner who runs another Erasmus Mundus master program, which is devoted to large-scale facilities, synchrotrons and neutron reactors. Then we have already organized lots of co-tutored, jointly co-tutored PhDs, and we've organized a lot of summer schools. And of course, we have initiated quite a lot of European research projects. And our industry members, of course, fill up this chain with industry R&D. So what you can see here is that our doctoral school will allow us to formalize this part here, and it's really the missing brick or missing link of our chain of activities in education, training, and research. And this is then underfed by a legal framework. We have a good practices charter, for example, for the research projects, and we have model contracts for non-disclosure agreements and research agreements. And we also have a website, of course, with some databases, which I will explain in a moment. Here are some examples for spin-off projects. One that is starting this month is MetaChem, nanochemistry and self-assembly routes to metamaterials for visible light. That's coordinated by our neighbors, CRPP in Bordeaux. It will run for 4 years and has 8 academic partners and 1 industry partner, which is Rodia, who is also a member of EMMI. And here's an example for co-tutored PhD between the universities in Montpellier in France and Aveiro in Portugal. So this runs from 2008 to 11 for 3 years and is financed by the French government. And here the student will get then a diploma from the PhD degree from the 2 universities. And this leads, of course, straight away to our doctoral schools, where we want to create a permanent school to create such projects. And the last one is our FAME master degree, which is funded by Erasmus Mundus, so Jean will talk about that, so I don't explain it now. And as I said, we have a website with a number of databases added. People and skills is information about the people that work in all the laboratories with their contact data, but also research skills, key publication, etc. So if you're looking for a person with expertise in a certain area, you can find it in this database. Then there is a second database for equipment and tools. That's the more specialized equipment that the labs have. And often this equipment, they have added things, so it's not standard equipment. Yeah? And the other 2 databases are information about the laboratories and about the projects. What's also part of this equipment and tools database is the access conditions. And here we have, for many of the facilities, we have an agreement from the partners that they give preferred access to specialized equipment. Some of our partners offer this as a service, and then they they say for the EMMI partners, we give it for half the price or something like that, or we give preferred access. So that's very useful for specialized things like this station here in Darmstadt in Germany. And we also have quite a few partners who run beamlines at synchrotrons and neutron reactors in all over Europe. And that gives the opportunity to get some so-called director's beam time at these beamlines and to do measurements much quicker than you could do if you go the official route where you have to write a proposal and it's quite selective and it takes a lot of time. Yeah? So this works via connections to our partners. And the final point is training schools, which is of course also very important again for our doctoral school. We had about 10 training schools in the FAME network. Of course, there we had a lot of money to organize things like that. And with EMMI, we will start next year with a school on metamaterials together with this MetaChem project. And then once IDS-FunMat is running, we will have about 2 schools per year on special subjects, subtopics in material science. Typically, a school runs for 5 days. So in the morning, then there are some lectures of 60 to 90 minutes. And in the afternoon, the students themselves, they give either short lectures or their poster sessions where the students or young postdocs show their work and discuss it with the other students and with the senior people that are present. And we found that this is very good, not only as a training tool, but also to get people to talk to each other. And many of the projects that I mentioned, they were created between people who attended schools and got together and had some informal discussion. So yeah, getting people together is very important. Yeah. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. So here again some websites where you can find more information. The Cordis website is for this FP7 program. Then the Erasmus Mundus, as I said, runs under educational DG. And this is really a very good website, a good entry point to find information about all the programs. There's also somewhere, I think on the Cordis website, is a sub-website just for job offers in European laboratories for students and postdocs. Of course, a lot of these European collaborative projects, they're looking for postdocs or PhD students. And on the EMMI website, we also have, of course, some job offers from our partners, and you can also download a newsletter. And yeah, you can contact us via this generic email, or you can contact me directly, of course. Thank you very much.
So just a few words regarding Erasmus Mundus FAME Master. What is the opportunity for example, Canadian student? Because for applying to this program, due to the fact this program is mainly devoted to third countries and recently to third countries and also to European countries. So what is the objectives of this FAME Master? Objective: reduce fragmentation in material science education across Europe, like research, but this defragmentation is also observed at the training and education level. Exchange scientific, economical, and societal benefits through education in material research. Improve integration with world-class research facilities and industrial companies. And I will speak about the FAME Master program that has been initiated, as Bernhard said, by the FAME Network of Excellence, and now it has been initiated by EMMI, European Multifunction Materials Institute. In this master program, 7 European universities are involved and have signed commitments for students for getting a double diploma. And this program started in October 2007, and the first students were graduated in July this year. And I will show you a picture regarding the different promotion. Expected every year 20 European students, 20 third country students, and of course the selection is very hard because we receive more than 200 applications per year, and we select, regarding a student from third countries, around 20 students. The competition is very hard, but that also we can get very good students. One of the objectives, of course, but it remains a challenge, is to deliver a full joint diploma between the 7 universities of the consortium, which are Grenoble in France, Louvain, and in Belgium, Augsburg in Germany, Darmstadt in Germany, Bordeaux 1 University in France, Liège in Belgium, and University of Aveiro. So, what are the main specializations in each universities? You have materials for ENPG in Grenoble, micro and nanotechnologies, hybrid materials and ceramics design, synthetic properties in Bordeaux, nanomaterials and hybrids in Aveiro, engineering and material and nanostructure in Louvain, modeling of nanomaterials in Liège, modeling the nanomaterial for specific properties as ferroelectrics, for example, ferroics, multi-ferroics, and so on. Darmstadt functional ceramics and processing crystalline properties, and they are specialized in surface engineering, and in Augsburg is material interfaces, surfaces, composite, and coatings. And for getting this, their diploma, the students have to be acquired for the first year, 30 ECTS, and I will come back on the scheme of mobility of the people over all these universities, and they have to acquire 30 ECTS in the third semester, and for 30 ECTS.
Can you say what is the
ECTS is European Credit Transfer System.
So
okay, it is a credit. Okay, we call that ECTS because you have E-European. Okay, so they have to acquire, in fact, 30, 60, 120 ECTS for having their master degree. So regarding now the mobility scheme, we have chosen the following mobility. The 2 first semesters can be prepared instead in France or in Augsburg. Okay, after the 2 first semesters, after 1 year, it is compulsory to move from, for example, Germany to other countries. If students prepare, their 2 first semesters in France, they have to move in Germany, Belgium, and Portugal. Okay, so but the master thesis, the 4th semester, can be prepared everywhere. For example, for taking an example, imagine a student preparing a PhD, master in Grenoble for the first year, moving to Augsburg, for example, in other university in Germany, in Darmstadt, for example. They can prepare their master thesis in Canada, in Waterloo, for example. There are certain freedom for preparing the 4th semester, for preparing the PhD thesis. And we had welcome up to now 2 students from Canada, from Waterloo University, and we have recruited is Christine Drew, maybe somebody knows her. She was recruited as the best student at the beginning, and she has got his master degree. It was the first to after the end of the degree, So we have another student from Waterloo who is preparing his master, the 2 first semester in Grenoble, and he will prepare. Okay, so he will prepare the 3rd semester in Louvain. After that, I don't know where he will prepare his master thesis. That for just giving this example, we have welcomed 2 very, very good students from Waterloo. So not enough. Okay, so just regarding the selection of the student, what are the criteria? The criteria are indicated in this list. The grant is not so bad. It's 21,000 euros per year, 6,000 euros for the fees, tuition fees, and after that, we can also invite every year scholar teacher for spending from 1 month to 3 months teaching, and paid by the European Commission for teaching to the students at the first, during the first semester or the third semester. That is a possibility.
In Canadian dollar, you multiply by 1.5.
I'm sorry, can you define third country?
Yeah.
What do you mean by third country?
Third country, I am going to the third country. Third country is all the country outside Europe. Okay, for example, I have to give you an example that it is a picture of the first promotion started in 2007. Two from Brazil, one from Canada, it was Christine Drew, Mexico, and Asia, China 4, India 4, Pakistan 1, and so on. Very good students, okay? And from Ethiopia 2, Rwanda 1, okay? And they got their diploma without problem and clearly above the French ones. Okay, so just for giving a reference. So the second promotion, and these people now have their master degree. The second promotion, we have from one Canada, another one, Brazil and Colombia, China, Taiwan, Iran, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Africa. And after that, we have around 4 students in this promotion coming from European countries, 1 from France, 2 from Belgium, 1 from Belgium, and 2 from Germany. The last one, we have 1 from USA, Brazil, Australia, Russia, Serbia, and so on. And after that, we expect to improve the quality of the people due to the fact that we have now the international doctoral school in functional materials. Because I think our students, master students, have the opportunity to prepare a PhD after their studies. We expect that we will have people the best. We expect, of course, because also there will be a selection, because you will participate to this selection of people regarding this school, and we will show, of course, this student having got a master degree, we have the possibility to apply for preparing a PhD. And of course, you will participate with us regarding this commission of selection. So, and now it is what I would like to say regarding this Erasmus Mundus program. It's complementary to the IDS doctoral school.
Do you have the brochures here?
Huh?
Do you have the brochures?
Yes, I gave the brochures to Frank, you know. So just for, if you have, there is a good website, and also you have a brochure for, student, maybe you could be interested for applying. The application starts in November and is finished at the end of January the next year. But we have around 200 to 220 applications every year. Thank you.
So personally, I am in the chemistry department in Bordeaux, and I am in charge of the doctoral school in chemistry. So since 4 years, I have worked a lot with the doctoral students regarding their integration, regarding the way they are doing their PhD and what they think about their PhD. And this year, with Jean Etourneau and Bernhard Zeimetz, we applied to a new program by the European community, which is an Erasmus Mundus for PhD students. So it's something new. Master is something, I would say, classical, but PhD student is something new. So there are many things to do, to build, and the European community asks us for new ideas because they have no fixed idea about how to manage such a new school. And among the various partners, we work on the application, during this winter with Eric Prouzet from Waterloo University. So Waterloo University is associated to the project, which is we got the answer in last July, and because it's a very long-term project, we wanted to come here to visit the university and to see how to implement such a project. Our idea is not to do, I would say, just another project, another co-tutor PhD project. It's to do really something different and on the very long term. So there are many interests for academics, for the research in Waterloo, because as you have already seen, there is a large network in France with other countries and with research. And there is as well an interest for young PhD candidates just to have the opportunity to travel and to visit other countries. So it's a very, very ambitious project, and I will try to give you an idea of our strategy. So I will go very quickly about Bordeaux, because now you know where is it. You know there is wine and technology. So just for the history, there used to be 4 universities, because in France, each university has its own specialty. For example, there is one university for science and technology, which is the Bordeaux 1 University, another one for medicine, which used to be Bordeaux 2, another one for humanities, which used to be called Bordeaux 3, and another one for law, which was Bordeaux 4. And now, with the new laws, it will unite in one big university, which is called University of Bordeaux. So here you have some inscription about this university. We have also engineering schools, so in electronics and nanotechnology, in chemistry as well, and chemical engineering. And all that, as I leave all the document, you will have all the information. What is interesting for you maybe is the number of students, which are about 60,000 students, so all specialties, and about the PhD candidates and the academic staff. But again, you will have all these documents, so I will go very, very quickly about all that. So the priority, of course, of the University of Bordeaux is to enhance international cooperation and, of course, to promote research and, among research, PhD studies. So all that are very general things about the University of Bordeaux. You will have all the information available about that. These are some information about the city, but you already got this information. And concerning now more specifically science, so as I told you, it's called Bordeaux 1 University. We have about 10,000 students at all the cycles of studies. There is 5 academic divisions and about 37 research laboratories. So, again, you have here a view of the libraries, which is a huge library in Bordeaux 1 University with all the facilities. And now I would like to concentrate about this project. So someone asked about the question about third countries. So basically, third countries, it's countries which are not within Europe. So they want to make I would say cooperation between European countries and third countries. And when we build the project, we choose Canada and the University of Waterloo. So as you will see in the following part, for PhD candidates who are coming from that country, there are special allowance, because of course if a candidate has to leave Canada and to come to Europe to turn, etc., it's much more expensive for him than it is for a PhD living in Europe. So here I take a few sentences from the program guide, but again you will have the opportunity to read them more carefully. It's on the website, so you can have all the proposal for the program. As you can see, and there is something very, very important: contribute to reinforcing the links between universities, research organization, and other sectors. So there is something which is very important in France regarding doctoral studies. It's professional integration of doctors. It's really something very important. We want that doctors, when they finish their PhD, have the opportunity to do their project. So they have to learn during the PhD their project. They have to know what kind of things they want to do. Do they want to stay in academia? Do they want to go to industry? Do they change domain? What are the tools we can provide them during their PhD training in order for them to do their project? So of course, in this project, it would be nice if this new doctoral school could become a reference at the European level and contribute to improving the overall quality of doctoral education. And again, our project is to define, it's very ambitious, maybe arrogant what I am saying, but the future PhD candidate for the future. So, this is the best summary: provide appropriate professional career development opportunity beyond academia towards wider employment market. The name, International Doctoral School in Functional Materials, and the materials we are interested in are those for energy, information technology, and health. So the doctoral program is for 5 years. It will start immediately, but we will try to define PhD projects very soon, and in January to look at the PhD application. What will be the idea? The idea is, of course, to have 2 academic supervisors coming from 2 countries. So I will present you the consortium of the institutions which are involved in the program. It can be someone from Waterloo and someone from Europe. So I will present you sorry?
Maybe it's not quite clear. Each PhD will last between 3 and 4 years. The Erasmus Mundus Fund will last 5 years.
Yes, sorry, yes.
It's not a 5-year PhD.
The program is for 5 years, which means that 5 times we will define PhD project and 5 times we will hire PhD candidates on this project. The duration of the PhD depends on the country. So in France, it's 3 years. In Canada, it is 4 years. So on the 5th years, we will hire students for making their PhD. So it will last over 9 years, I would say, in a cumulative time, at least. Because, of course, the plan is to have sustainability and to implement that on the very long term. So there will be 2 academic supervisors, so that it will give double diploma. You remember what you see in master. So you will be doctor from 2 countries. One target would be to define what we call a joint diploma, where 2 universities agree in the definition of a doctoral formation. In addition, we will involve an industrial company, so that there is, so to speak, 3 partners for each PhD candidate, 2 academic partners and an industry who can have an eye, who can benefit from the work, and who can help the PhD candidate after to find a job or to design his own project. When the company is involved, it depends of its level involvement. We can imagine that the PhD candidate spend some time in the company, and the company can be in many countries. What kind of grants can we offer? So there are the grants awarded by the European Community. So I will show you some figure at the end. But as well, we have some local government, because of the Erasmus Mundus label, are very interested in this type of project, because it can produce young PhDs, young doctors that they can use in the local economic development. So we have already some grants from local governments that will be given to this project. So you can also apply to this type of grants. I said here at least because, of course, we hope it will last for a long time. So just very quickly, the concept of the PhD. So here I give you the arrow of time. And classically, PhD is a training by or for research. By research, if you acquire the methods, and for research, if you decide to spend all your life in research. So, of course, the core target is to acquire high scientific knowledge acquisition. So you get a PhD project, you have to catch the perspective, the context, the community of the people working on it, and, of course, to produce original work on all that. But this is not all, because when you are doing a PhD project, you will not necessarily be hired by a company on the very teeny aspect of the science that you have been working on. So in fact, it's more a method, it's more a way to think that you have acquired during your PhD. So there is something which is as well very important, to be able to acquire what we call transferable research methodology. That means by transferable that you can use in another context. So of course there is bibliography, patents, and, patents, politics, collaboration, time management, creativity, all that are, I would say, things which can be transferable to other topics. And there is, of course, what we call transferable soft skill. That means how to design time work, how to do networking, how to face job market, and etc. And all that are as well transferable skills that you could acquire during your PhD training and that you will be using, I would say, all your life long. And of course, all these two lateral things are added value, and we have to take care, and I am obliged, I'm taking care of that in the Doctoral School of Chemistry in order to train the PhD students to all of these aspects so that they are ready to find a job. So how do we design a PhD project? There is, of course, an academic institution one, I would say, a partner, and an academic institution two partner from two different countries. So in fact, they have to find themselves and to find a common interest. So this is part of the job we have to do very quickly. So Jean and Bernhard show you a little bit the structure of the research in Aquitaine, but as well within the European networks that they have been implementing. So they have all the information, and maybe from the academic point of view, you can have some exchange. And after, there is something which is very important, the local government in Aquitaine. As you have seen in the network, it's something very important because in Aquitaine, they can give you money to do research, to maintain and to acquire large facilities, and they are providing grants for postdocs, for PhD students. So the local governments are part of the project in some circumstances. And after, industry. The industry will provide sometimes the project, ventures. Of course, they will look for breakthrough. They can provide facilities, contact, and of course, it can be very useful for the professional integration of the PhD student. And of course, all that will benefit of all the structure implemented by EMMI, the institute you have been which has been presented to you before. And all that is, I would say, the big network within which the PhD can take part. So now let's be more precise concerning the institution. So here you have the list of the institutions. So you have, of course, University of Waterloo, University of Darmstadt, Liège in Belgium, Louvain in Belgium, in Portugal in Lisboa, and in France you have Bordeaux University which coordinate all the project, Grenoble, Caen, and Paris. So in fact, all the institutions hosting laboratories can build a project with another country. Concerning the local government, there is Aquitaine, Landes d'Oise, Wallonie, Basse-Normandie, and Rhône-Alpes, which support the project and which will give allowance and strong support to the project for mobility. And after, concerning the industry, we have at least 5 major industrial companies which also support the EMMI consortium, so Bosch, Corning, Merck, Rhodia, Schneider, which are very large companies. CMC in Canada give a support, and you have other companies from Belgium. So all these companies will look to our activities and the kind of project and will support some of the projects that they may find interest in. And how it will work? Industry, University 2 and Institution 1. So of course, what we will try to do to enhance mobility between all the project partners, and I will just summarize to finish to give you a typical timeline of a project and things that can be interesting. So here I just give you again an arrow, an arrow of time. So this is the year -1 before it starts. Now it starts. Month number 1, month number 12 after first year, 24 after second year, and 36 after third years in a kind of 3 years PhD duration. But we can add an additional year if the PhD is to be last 4 years. So after the definition of the topics, what can be very interesting and what can be a deliverable of the school will be the scientific training school. Here you see there is 3 scientific training schools at 3 different time of the year. So I don't know, I know since yesterday how it works as well in Canada, but we got it in chemistry in France. every year, for example, in France, all the PhD students gather together and they made some presentation of their work. Here, the concept is quite interesting because we will have a scientific training school, specific lectures on the given topics, and something which is very interesting, all the PhD candidates which are engaged in the program will meet in the same place. It can be in Canada, it can be in Belgium, it can be in Portugal, just to bring together, to have scientific exchanges. And believe me, the fact that they came from all over the world is something very interesting. So in last July, Professor Etourneau and Jean and Bernhard organized one for the FAME master. So it's at the master level, and it has a certain flavor because you have seen all the countries involved. And of course, they share experience and they share a point of view, and that can be very original. So we plan to have 3 of them during the PhD duration. Just to give you an idea concerning the Erasmus Mundus grants. So normally we should have a meeting in October. That's why we came here before. And they will give us exactly the number of grants they will give for this program. And of course, as I told you, we have additional funding from the local government which will be involved in this program. So typically, you see, for one European grant, they have 3 parts. There is, I would say, the living allowance, that means how they support themselves during all the PhD. So about 2,800 euro per month. And of course, you have with this amount, you have to take care of the social insurance and things like that. There is a second amount, which is the fixed contribution to the fees, to the fees participation. That is to the money that you have to pay to the hosting institution. And there is a third part, as I told you, which take into account the fact that you have to travel. So as you know, there is a difference between what they call category A fellowships. That means that people who are non-European, they come from much, they are very far, than from European if they do not move or if they move in a very close country. It's something less complex, less expensive, they get less money. So about the organizational structures that we wish to implement, as you can see, there is of course a government board, but there is, I would say, 6 boxes, six little boxes, which will address all the problems that we can have and all the issues that we have to deal with the recruitment of the students, the research organization, the training, the recruitment and funding. And since we arrived in Waterloo, we start to have some contacts in order to implement all the system. So that's it. I am almost done. I am done now. Just to give you some information, we very general information. In November or in December, it will be, we must have finalized all our research project, and after, PhD candidates can apply. So if you are a master, you can apply. But if you are not master, you did not graduate this year or next year, the program will last over 5 years. So there is no rush. You can think about if you are an undergraduate now. So in December we will finalize all the details. What you have to know is that in January or in May we have to have a list of the PhD students that may be interested in. So for academics and professors, we have to have contacts in order to build the PhD project. Your local contact here is Professor Eric Rouzet, because he was with us to write the proposal, so you know all the details. And of course, you can write to us for any information. Thank you very much. Sorry to be quick.